Reading from Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 to 16. Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, "Choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, and whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands grew weary, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under sun." And Moses built an altar and called the name of it, "The Lord is my banner," saying, "A hand upon the throne of the Lord. The Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation." We read in the beginning of this chapter that the Israelites camped in Rephidim according to the commandment of the Lord. Now this place not only had no water, but it was also a place where they were attacked by the Amalekites. God may lead you to a place of necessity and vulnerability. Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, we read the Song of Moses, where he describes how the Lord taught them. He says in verse 10, "He found him in a desert land, and in the howling waste of the wilderness. He encircled him. He cared for him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. Like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions. The Lord alone guided him. No foreign god was with him." Here we see a picture of an eagle stirring the nest of its young to teach them to fly. At the same time, it doesn't abandon them to fall to their death, but spreads out its wings to hold them. Here the Lord is stirring their nests so that they will learn how to fly. They are exposed to the attack of the Amalekites. They had to learn to fight, for soon they would have to drive out the enemies in the land of Canaan. In Psalms 144, the psalmist says, "Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle." In Deuteronomy chapter 25, Moses recounts this incident and tells us how the Amalekites made their move. First of all, he says that the Amalekites did not fear God. Satan always uses those who do not fear the Lord to attack the people of God. Psalmist says in Psalms 11, verse 2, "For behold, the wicked bend the bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string, to shoot in the dark at the upright in heart." Secondly, they attacked them when they were faint and weary. We need to be alert when we are tired. We are asked to watch and pray that we may not fall into temptation. Thirdly, It was not an attack from the front, but behind to cut off the tail. They attacked those who were lagging behind. Those of us who are not in good fellowship with God and with other brethren and are lagging behind, we are prone to the attack of the evil one. Also, Satan's strategy is to attack the weakest link. How did Moses respond to this? He understood that an attack on few is an attack on all. So they had to give a collective response. Number 1, he finds a man named Joshua. This is the first mention of Joshua, where Moses is entrusting him with the difficult task of choosing people to fight the Amalekites. Remember, this is their first experience of war after they left Egypt. It takes a man of faith and courage to undertake such a daunting task. Joshua did just as Moses told him. When asked to take the sword, he took it. Many years later, when God asked him to circle a city, he did. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 30. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. Courage stems from faithful obedience to the words of God. Number 2. Moses was not pushing Joshua and his men to the danger end, but himself directing the battle. He said, "Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." Joshua was well aware of the significance of that statement. How that Moses used that staff to strike the Nile. How it turned into a serpent in the court of Pharaoh. How it parted the Red Sea. And how it struck the rock to bring about life-giving water. Moses took upon himself the responsibility of holding the staff before God. Just like Moses used the staff of God to perform miracles in the past, the staff had to be lifted up. It is a picture of an intercessory prayer. The battle had to be fought on both fronts, in the open and also in the closet. Number 3. Though Moses was a great servant of God, he too was human and prone to weakness. His hand began to come down and Amalekites were winning. But we see 2 helpers in Aaron and Hur who supported his hand till sundown. We need prayer partners in our struggle with the evil one. No matter how great a servant of God, he also needs the support of others. Number 4. That day, God gave a victory for them. For the common eye, it was Joshua who overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword. But the battle was won on the hilltop out of the eye of those who watched the battlefield. David said when speaking to Goliath the giant in 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 47. And that all this assembly may know that the Lord saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hand. Number 5. Joshua was assured of a complete and final victory over the Amalekites. We are also assured that one day the God of peace will soon crush Satan under our feet. Romans 16 verse 20. Moses built an altar there and called it Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is our banner. Here we see another revelation of the great I Am. The banner or a flag is used to identify your allegiance or ownership. Our insignia is the Lord. He's called the Lord of hosts. The prophet Zephaniah proclaims the joy and restoration of Israel in these words. On that day, it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear not, O Zion. Let not your hands grow weak. The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exalt over you with loud singing. Zephaniah chapter 3, verses 16 and 17. When we move in his will, we will experience that the Lord is indeed our banner. God bless.